Welcome to the latest rebuild on the channel, and watch out Bayern Munich, watch out Bayer Leverkusen, watch out Borussia Dortmund, and watch out RB Leipzig, because FC Kaiserslautern are coming to win the Bundesliga after we get out of Bundesliga 2 first. Okay, welcome to the new series, Rebuilding FC Kaiserslautern. And for those of you that have not watched one of my rebuilding series before, I'll just quickly sum up how it's going to work. We divide each video into 3 parts, part 1, 2 and 3, quite imaginative, I know. In part 1 is usually where we do the update on transfers, season expectations, all that kind of pre-season stuff. And then part 2 is the mid-season review, and part 3 is the end of season review. And each weekend, each Sunday at 2 p.m. will be a different video. It'll be a different season. So season 1 this week, season 2 next week. You kind of get the gist. And we've already done rebuilding Blackburn Rovers and rebuilding Manchester United on the channel. So feel free to check out those in the rebuilding playlist that's available on the channel, and will be an end card at the very end of this video. But let's get on with meeting our new club, meeting Kaiserslautern. Now, I was looking for a new save to do, a new rebuilding team to take on, and I wanted it to be something of a fallen giant. And I was looking through various different leagues, looking through Italy and through Spain and places like that, and eventually I came across Germany, and I looked at the Bundesliga 2 and saw the teams they had in there that can definitely be considered fallen giants. There's Hamburg, there's Schalke, there's Hertha Berlin. There's plenty of teams in this Bundesliga 2 that you can absolutely consider to be a fallen giant of German football. And when I saw FC Kaiserslautern, I'm going to make a lot of pronunciation mistakes, I can tell you that now. But yeah, when I saw FC Kaiserslautern, I immediately said, that is a team I've got to do this next rebuild with, because they're a team I remember from my childhood. And when I look back over the history of the club, it has been a fall from grace. They've even been down as low as Liga 3 in Germany. So let's have a look at the club first of all, before we take a look at our players and our squad and what transfers we're going to do. We are playing this in the Your World mode. So basically any transfers Kaiserslautern done in real life for the 2023-2024 season will not be in the game. We will literally be doing it all ourselves. I kind of figured if we've got to get out of the Bundesliga 2, not just into the Bundesliga, but to win the Bundesliga, because that is the aim of this series, then we probably need to be doing as many of the transfers ourselves as possible. By the way, I love their kits, all 3 kits. I'm always a fan of a black kit. The team I support in real life, Arsenal, they play in red anyway, and this just appeals to me. I love the white and the light green and the dark green with the sponsors label in the middle, the red with the logo up there. And who doesn't like a Nike kit, let's be honest. So this is Kaiserslautern. We have plenty of derbies going on and rivalries. And we also have rivalries with Frankfurt, Mainz 05 and Bayern Munich. We obviously want to get onto one of these lists somewhere. I very much doubt in 5 seasons we can become a legend. But if we can get onto the icons list, maybe the favoured personnel, but I prefer the icons list, that would be great. We play in the Fritz Walter Stadion in Kaiserslautern. A used capacity of 49,327. It's grass in good condition, built in 1920. We have 24,395 season ticket holders. The average price of the season ticket is £257, and our average ticket price is £21. The year they were founded was in 1900. And if we have a look at the overview of the club, as you can see here, they dropped out of the Bundesliga in the 2011-12 season. And it was all downhill every single season. Well, that was the same, but every season basically was all downhill until they got relegated in 17-18 into the 3 Liga, and then a 9th, a 10th, a 15th. Well, they must have come very close to getting relegated before getting promoted the following season by finishing 3rd. And then last season in the 2 Bundesliga, they finished 9th. They have also got a record that they got promoted in the 2009-10 season, and they do also have a record that somewhere around here, it must have been before the 2002-03 season, they were the only teams who've got promoted from the 2 Liga and won the Bundesliga as a newly promoted team. If we have a look at our competitions, we're only in the 2 competitions, the Bundesliga 2 and the DFB Pokal, and we'll have a look at the Bundesliga season expectations, the season preview. They are saying we're going to finish 10th. I don't often pay too much attention to this because it's not often right. It could be quite wrong, actually. In real life, St. Pauli, I think it is, actually got promoted in real life from this league. But yeah, Hertha Berlin, Hamburg, Schalke, them 3 are expected to be the top 3 teams. Hertha Berlin, according to the bookmakers at least, are by far and away the best team in this division. Now, part of the club vision is that they would like us to sign players based in Germany and German-based players, as well as making the most of our youth system. If we have a look at this for the current season, they want us to become an established Bundesliga 2 team. So that's basically kind of a mid-table finish, and be competitive in the DFB Pokal. They want us to work within the wage budget as well. Other than that, they're not really setting us a great deal. If we have a look over here, sign players based in Germany, sign German players, as I said earlier on. If we have a look at the supporters, they want us to develop the players using the club's youth system. They want us to get the better of our rivals at Waldorf if we happen to play against them. I mean, where are Waldorf, for example? They're in the 3 Liga, so it'll only be in a cup competition. Where are we? Go back there. Finish above Karlsruhe in the league. I've got that wrong. Let me know in the comments how to pronounce it. Get the better of our rivals Saarbrücken if we happen to play against them. Are they a 3 Liga team? Yes, they are. Will you please leave me on the same bit that I came back from? Be competitive against Eintracht Frankfurt if we happen to play against them, and record a Bundesliga 2 top half finish. So they want us to be 10th and above. If we actually have a look at the table, 3 teams could get relegated. The bottom 2 definitely get relegated. If we get relegated, by the way, that is the end of the save because we haven't got the 3 Liga actually loaded. If you finish 16th out of the 18 teams, then you go into a relegation playoff with the team presumably in 3rd from the 3 Liga. In terms of promotion, the top 2 get promoted automatically. The 3rd place team goes into a promotion playoff against the team that presumably has finished in the bottom 3 in the Bundesliga. So we really want to finish in this top 2 somewhere this season. I know the board only want a top half finish, or the supporters want a top half finish. But for us, we need to get in the Bundesliga. So we've got then 4 seasons to build towards winning it, because if we spend 2 seasons in this league, it is going to be very, very difficult to actually win this league. If we have a look at our squad, no, wrong one, that's a tactic. If we have a look at our squad, I mean, this doesn't look a particularly big squad, I have to say. It's 24, so yeah, it's 24 players. I mean, when we look at it, star rating wise, we actually look pretty decent. If we filter it by position first, we've got this guy here, Julian Kroll, who stands out to me as being our best option as a goalkeeper. Then, and we've actually got 3 goalkeepers, which don't really need 3 goalkeepers. We could probably, if we try and move one of these on, I mean, what are they earning? This guy here is on £9,000 a week. He would probably be classed as our number 1 goalkeeper, but if we could move him on and use this guy as our first choice goalkeeper, I would be absolutely happy with that. We're saving £9,000 off the wage budget. In terms of top earner, yeah, he's actually the top earner at the club as well. So we might actually struggle to get shot of him this season. He is only contracted till the end of next season. We have a lot of players that are running out of contract at the end of this season, by the way. Which, you know, again, if we get promoted, it might not be a bad thing, because we will want to improve heavily on our playing squad. So anyway, in terms of defenders, we've got a decent, very decent centre back in Jan Alvedi, 26 years old, 6'2", 3.5 stars of both current and potential ability, and a 30-year-old Kevin Kraus. Now, for those of you that watched the Man United rebuild, where we weren't allowed to have any players over the age of 25, that doesn't apply. They can be any age in this series, but you know I do have a liking to lower the age a little bit. So we've got a couple of centre-backs there. We've got potentially a centre-back here in Boris, talking about 4 stars. So, yeah, he probably will be a centre-back for us. He's right-footed, 6'3", good heading, good jumping reach. I'm liking the look of him already. So he will most likely be a starting centre-back. We also have Julian Nihus, who can play in the centre of mid. I mean, he's got 4.5-star potential. He's a 22-year-old. He's a player we probably will look at playing in this defensive midfield role. He can do it as a ball-winning midfielder on defence. I do like a ball-winning midfielder as well. We've got a couple of right-backs here. John Zimmer seems to be the better of our right-backs. He's 3 stars as a wing-back further down, but 3.5 stars further up. Is that kind of leading to a 3 at the back formation? I mean, I'd probably still stick to keeping him there. He's got reasonable crossing. He's got some acceleration, some good pace. So I'm liking the look of him for sure. What's the other right back we've got? Like, again, he's the same as the other guy, that he prefers to be further up than where he is. He's not as good. He's 27 years old. I mean, he's a backup option at best. He can play on the left as well. So it could be worth keeping him around for that. But yeah, I'm going to have a look through this squad. I'm going to then come up with a tactic or a couple of tactics for us to play. And I mean, this guy here is probably our best player if you go by potential as well. Yeah, I'm going to have a look at who we've got, what we've got. We'll have a look in the dev centre as well. We've got a really good, promising winger here. The under-19 squad is strong, apparently. Lucas Leibrock, 2 stars of current ability, 5-star of potential ability. Can play, prefers to play on the left-hand side, can play on the right-hand side as well. He looks a good prospect, to be fair, doesn't he? Let's be honest. And I'm going to try and fit him into my squad somewhere. Oh, he's got an injury. He has got an injury. He's out for 5-7 months. Oh, that's terrible news. I was getting quite excited by that. If we have a look at our under-19 squad, filter it by potential, I mean, he is top of that. We do also have a defensive midfielder and a central midfielder that's 1.5-star current ability, potentially 4.5-star potential ability. Can play both these roles. I quite like him in the look of this role as either a central midfielder or a deep line playmaker that we can certainly try and bring through. He's only 17 years of age. There's a few potential 4-star players as well. If we have a look at centre-backs, for example, he's 6'2". Yeah, he doesn't look too bad. Okay, so I'm going to have a look through all of this. I'm going to come up with a tactic and I'll bring you back when I've got my tactic in mind. Okay, so we have a tactic in mind and we'll get to that in a moment. We're just bringing you some other bits and pieces. So this is a supporter profile. 14% is hardcore, 40% is core, 18% family, 14% is fair weather, 2% corporate and 12% casual. The supporters' influence on the board is high, 4 stars, 381.2 thousand social media followers, 24,395 season ticket holders, and there's no one on the waiting list. This is all of that stuff that we've already been through. Club expectations, visions, and all that sort of stuff, we're fine with that, we just accept it. These are all the players in the last year of their contract. We will look at renewing quite a few of those, I'd imagine, at some point. Tactical direction we're doing, squad selection rules, and we've started a search for a whole load of staff because we've got hardly any staff at the club. And I'll show you something there that is quite interesting to me. This is a fitness coach that's got about 6 for fitness, so I'm just confirming a mutual termination of his contract. But when you look at here, there's nothing listed here saying assistant manager. So straight away I started to panic, thinking that I was going to have to do my own training or something. And then when you go into the coaching staff, there's Florian Dick, who is my assistant manager. Okay, great. I'm glad I've got an assistant. I don't know why it's not listed here. It's usually manager, assistant manager, head of youth development, blah, 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 blah. But for some reason, it's not listed here as assistant manager. This is what our coaching looks like and our recruitment and our medical team at the moment. Bear that in mind, because by the time the season starts, or at least by the time part 2 of this video comes along, I would expect this to look a lot better than what it does at the moment. Let's get into the tactic, and this is it. Basically, the only tactic I'll come up with at the moment is a 4-3-3 custom Gegenpress. I think you're in Germany, you've got to do Gegenpress really, haven't you? we're going to be on a positive mentality. This is what we're going through for the in possession side of it. It will probably change as we go. I'm not a fan of passing to space because it means your possession is low, and I like to have a bit more possession, so that will probably end up being taken off. I am going to put overlap right on, and you'll see why when we clear this. Slightly shorter passing, tempo is higher, and I have put on play for set pieces. In terms of the in transition, I've not changed anything on here, and out of possession, I've not changed anything on here either. And if we take that off, the reason why I've done overlap right is because when we started this, both our left wing back and our right wing back were both on support, and both our inside forwards were both on attack. I like to have one of my wing backs bomb forward. If you've watched any of my content in the past, you'll see how much of a fan I am of a right back that bombs forward, puts a cross in for this inside forward on the left to attack it and head the ball in. So that's what we're going for here with Zimmer on attack. Hercher has been changed to support. I've left him on attack and left him on support. I have changed the positions here. We had something like a deep line playmaker here with a Carolero and a central midfielder there. So I've moved the defensive midfielder to here. I've put in my ball-winning midfielder I want there and a box-to-box midfielder just there. So at the moment, that is how we will leave it. We have got our £9,000 a week goalkeeper in goal. I literally just done quick pick, pick without restrictions, best 11, and this is what it's come up with. I've changed the order of my bench about so it makes sense for what I would like it to be. And yeah, I think we've actually got a pretty decent team here. I look at this, I'm looking at improving the forward positions. So if we can improve the forward positions, I would be really happy at that. I'm actually pretty happy with the defence and the midfield. If we can get a better box-to-box midfielder, that would be great. But overall, if we don't make any transfers and just go into the season with this squad, I'd actually be quite happy with that. We have got a lot of players that are wanted, but with a lot of them, they're wanted on loan. This one here, Philip Clement, is wanted by Dusseldorf as a transfer. He's 30 years old. He can play, I mean, that one we don't use anyway, but he can play in this area here as a deep line playmaker. He can also do the box-to-box midfield role. He's also got 16 for free kick taking, so he's going to be handy for that. At a push, he could play back here as a ball-winning midfielder, but with only 9 for tackling, you probably wouldn't have him in that position. But he is a useful player. But if we get a decent price for him, I mean, his value is only 100,000 to 400,000. He leaves at the end of the season, so we're not really in a position to say no. In terms of Hendrik Zuck, who is a backup left back for us, who can play on the right. He's 32 years old. But if I needed someone to come in on the right hand side, then I'll probably bring Zuck in here and move Pushak into the right wing back role. But the right wing back role kind of is a situation for us because Philip Hercher, who would have been our backup right wing back, is actually better suited, or we've got him in this role here. Whether he lasts there, he might become a backup right back, and I might end up moving someone like Richmond Tachi, who can play out here. He's got a bit of potential about him as well. He can also play as a striker. There's Daniel Hanslick, who prefers to be a striker, can play on the left though, can play on the right. So there's options there. That's what I'm kind of getting at. So there's no obvious weakness in the team when you look at it at the moment. Terence Boyd is our best striker. He's 32-year-old American, but he does look like he's our best option up top. He's also got 16 for strength, which is always nice to have someone that's nice and strong up top. So yeah, we're actually looking pretty decent in that respect. If we go back to our under-19s and sorted by potential, and I was saying about this guy here, potentially bringing him in, I think if we go into his training, because somewhere we do lack is a box-to-box midfielder, he's not really got the attributes for that. So I think what we would probably do with him is get him as a ball-winning midfielder on defend. We'll take care of his individual training, and I think I'd like to get him trained with his strength as well. So we'll do that with him, and we'll move him to a senior squad because I do think we can actually make some good use of this guy here, David Schramm. So yeah, we've got him in our squad. That brings up to a squad of 25. Bearing in mind he's 17, is he? Yeah, 17 years old. If we look at a squad and filter it by age, we have got a couple that are under 21. I don't know how many we can actually register. If we have a look at the competition rules for the Bundesliga to see what the actual rules are for it. I'll have a look at this in a moment. Oh, so there you go. Squad registration. Minimum of 8 players trained in the same nation for 3 years between that. Yeah, that's all. Minimum of 12 German players in the squad. Maximum squad size of 99 players. We ain't got a problem in terms of who we're registering, let's be honest. I did have a feeling it had some ridiculous rule like that. I mean, who is registering a squad of 99 players? That is ludicrous. I don't even know why they have that as a rule. Right, I'm going to have a look at doing some transfers, having a look at what we might want to bring in. Our scouting budget, what we've got in there, £197,000. So all we can do is Central Europe, covers players in our range. That's fine for us at the moment. Yeah, I'm going to look at bringing some staff in, getting some scouting set up. We have this for scouted players at the moment, so I can have a look through this sorted by what's recommended. And I'll get back to you when we've brought some players in or when I've got some more news for you. Okay, I've brought you back because I weren't actually aware that the season started as early as it did. 29th of July, which is like 9 days' time. I just looked at the fact that we've only got 2 pre-season friendlies and just thought, why have we only got 2 pre-season friendlies? Usually I have 6, 7, 8 planned in. And then looked at the schedule and saw that we play St. Pauli at home in the Bundesliga 2 on the 29th of July. So, yeah, we've not actually got that long. I've made an offer for a player. I'll just quickly show you that. That's a job offer for an under-19s. But Jan Bola as a defender is a free transfer. It's purely a backup player. We had a scout report on him that he's 3-star current ability with 4-star potential. It will mainly be support for our central defenders. Can play right back, can do a little bit of left back. So he's just a body really as a backup defender. Nothing too exciting. And yeah, we've set our scouts up. We've got some scouting focuses lined up. So as of when they come in, I will be looking at potentially bringing in a few players. If we look at the finances, I don't think I've shown you this actually. We've got a transfer budget of 857,000, a wage budget that at the moment if we go by the committed spending of 166,000, we've got about £23,000 left in there. So that's probably about 3 players, maybe 4. And yeah, that's what we're looking at the moment. 7.6 million in the bank as well. And what we will now do is I will play through till the transfer window closes, which I imagine is going to be after this game against Paderborn. And I'll let you know, A, how we started the season, B, whether we've got any transfers in, and then that will be the end of part 1. So I'll see you for that bit. Okay, so life at Kaiserslautern has got off to a bit of a mixed start. I'll probably say I'm not unhappy with our performances in any of the games, including the couple that we've lost. We had a tough start. We started off at home against St. Pauli, and that was a 0-0 draw. It was the kind of game that, I mean, there weren't much by way of highlights either, but you look at the stats and it looks like a drawn game. So, yeah, 0-0 draw against St. Pauli. Considering they're meant to be one of the better teams in the league, I'm not too disheartened by that. Like I said earlier, they've actually been promoted in real life this season, so they must have a good team in that case. Then we come up against Schalke, who obviously are going to be one of the favourites to win the league. A 2-1 defeat in that game against Schalke. And yeah, I think you can safely say we were massively outperformed in this game. You know, 2 shots on target to their 10. They've had an XG of almost 2 solid points more than us. Dominated possession, better passes completed. Ours has been pretty good at 90%, I have to say. But yeah, 2-1 defeat. Probably looks closer than what the match was. Then we played a DFB Pokal first round game against RW Koblenz, who are a non-league team here in Germany. And a 4-0 win. We absolutely smashed them in every single department you want to look at. Goals from Raschel from the penalty spot. He also got another goal on the hour mark. And then Hanslik and Ritter also getting on the score sheet as well. Pushaz and Redondo getting on the assist leagues. And yeah, much better performance against much weaker opposition, let's be honest. Then we play Elversberg, a 2-1 win in this game. Centre-back Alvedi scoring from a Hanslik corner, and then Ritter getting on the score sheet as well. We did have Opoku go off injured, but a 2-1 win, happy with that. We were slightly the better team when we dominated possession, slightly more shots on target, better XG. I would say we deserved to win that game, and Hanslik actually carrying on looking very decent as well. And then we played Paderborn, who are top of the table. At this point, I think they were something like played 3-1-3, and obviously after this they've played 4-1-4. And yeah, a 1-0 win. Again, we weren't massively outplayed. I mean, we actually if you look at these stats here, the shots on target and the XG, we were actually the better team. They had easily more possession, but passes completed, again, we were 90% pass completion. Again, we didn't play too badly, we just didn't have any oomph in our team. And I hope I've now sorted that, because we play Nuremberg next, and Nuremberg are currently 6th in the league. We're a very similar badge to what we have, I have to say. But if we look at the transfers and have a look at the transfer history, Terence Boyd has left the club. He's gone to Minnesota for £140,000. They came in with an offer of about £90,000. I said no, he weren't happy about it. So I said I was prepared to accept an offer of £140,000. We'll have a look at dynamics in a minute, because there's another couple of players that if clubs come in for a certain fee, we'll let them go. But we're talking about 2 or 3 million for them players, so we will accept that. In terms of players coming in, Jan Bola, you would have known about earlier on, free transfer, centre-back, can play right-back, a little bit of left-back, 3-star current ability, 4-star potential. He just looks a decent squad player, and he has already played for us. He's had 2 starts and substitute appearance because injuries are a thing in FM24. And then we've just completed the signing of Adrian Grubic from FC Lorient for 650, rising to £775,000. He's a striker, 3.5-star current and potential, 27-year-old Austrian. And he can play advanced forward, pressing forward, deep line forward. He can play the roles we want. He can also do a very good job out wide on the left or right. I haven't quite decided whether I'm going with him up top and keeping my current Tushy, is it, someone like that, on the right-hand side, or whether I'm going to go with Hanslik on the right and him up top, or Hanslik up top and him on the right. I'm probably going to go with one of them two, so I can get both of them in the team. If we have a look at it, that's how we look so far, and Jan Bola's still in our team. So Tashi could come out for Grubic to go there, and then Hanslik to slot in here, or it could be the other way, either or, but Hanslik seems to be better as a striker. So that could be the way we go going forward. If we have a look at dynamics, our cohesion is still poor, and our club atmosphere is average, but it's on the up, and managerial support is average on the up as well. And it's not telling me about the 2 players we've got promises to. Let me see if I can find it in my email. Probably not. There you go. So Julian Nahus, who's our central midfielder stroke centre-back, pleased at being promised he'll be sold. A bid of 3 million is received. Again, we had an offer of him. I rejected it, said I'd accept 3 million. He was happy with that. And Boris Tomiak, pleased at being promised if he's sold at 2.3 million. As you can see, Tomiak, first choice centre-back. Nahus, first choice defensive midfielder. We really don't want to lose them. So hopefully, I mean, the transfer window is now closed, but hopefully we don't lose them in January. If we have a look at the league table, as you can see here, we are currently in 11th position, 1 win, 1 draw, 2 defeats from our opening 4 games. We're on 4 points. If we can finish around here, that will keep the board and the supporters happy. But as I've already said, I want to be finishing up here somewhere. Even if we're 4th, 5th, 6th, I'll take that. But yeah, I want to at least give us a shot of getting promoted this season. Paderborn, as I said, 4 games, 4 played, 12 points. No problem losing to those. St. Pauli are up there as well. Schalke are actually down with us, so we're actually the only team they've beaten from their 4 games this season, so I'm starting to feel a bit disappointed with that. But that is where we are at the moment. One other thing I will show you as well is my profile. When I loaded up the game, I just selected the attributes that are suited to a club like Kaiserslautern. They've given me a Continental Pro license, and my attributes are this. I did reduce the goalkeeping side of it so I could up the tactical, the technical, and the mentals purely for the coaching side of things. if we go back to transfers and transfer history and have a look at our staffing, we have brought in a lot of staff. I mean, look at all of this. We have brought in a lot of staff. We have let a few go. I think it was this guy here and our fitness coach are ones that I mutually terminated contracts on. I may have even done that with our physio. I think I did actually with our physio as well. And yeah, we've just brought in a whole load of staff, and that is how our staff is looking at the moment. We're top of the class for coaching, we're top of the class for medical, and so close to getting top of the class in this as well. I may even mutually terminate a few scouts to try and get us further up this, to try and get it all gold basically, because I have a bit of an OCD for that kind of thing. But at the moment, I think you can safely say our backroom staff is looking pretty impressive, and we certainly can't use that as an excuse if we don't do well at Kaiserslautern. So we're going to move over to part 2 now for the mid-season review, and hopefully we're at least in the top half of the table. Did I say mid-table? Sorry, I meant top of the table, because that's exactly where we are. And I'll be honest, I don't really know how. We've not exactly been sensational. We've played 19. We've won 10, drawn 6, lost 3. The 3 games we lost against HSV, Paderborn and Schalke. The 6 we've drawn: Braunschweig, Hertha Berlin, Magdeburg, Karlsruhe, Nuremberg and St. Pauli. We're on 36 points. We're 2 points ahead of Kiel, who are second. Schalke, we're 3 points ahead of them, who are in third. And then HSV are fourth with 31 points. Now, this league has been mad close, and it still is basically. I mean, from first to eighth, there's only 8 points separating us. Only 9 points separate the top 9, and 10 points separate the top 10. I mean, that is ridiculously close. And it was only a few games ago that there was 3 points separating first from seventh. You had the top 3 were all on the same amount of points. Then you had, I think it's fourth and fifth were a point below there, sixth with a point further back, and then seventh with a point further back from that. So yeah, there's about 3 points separating the top 7 in the league, and that's going back about 3 or 4 games ago. Let's have a look at the schedule in terms of how we're actually doing. We started off the season against St. Pauli. I mean, you know about these results anyway. I told you that at the end of part 1. After that, we then had 2 draws, Nuremberg and Karlsruhe, 2 1-all draws. Then we played Hansa Rostock and got a 1-0 win in that game. A 1-0 win against Osnabrück, followed up by a 3-1 win against Hanover and a 3-1 win against Dusseldorf. We then lost to Hamburg by 2-1. Then we played a second round DFB Pokal game against FC Köln of the First Division, or of the Bundesliga 1. And I'll be honest, I was prepared to throw this game. I changed a load of players around, like Kraus and Boller were in central defence. Our midfield stayed the same, but we had Tachi, Apoku and Zielinski up front. We made quite a few changes there. Like I said, I was prepared to just give up on that game and just rest players ready for the game against Firth. But after it was 0-0, we then went through 8-9 on penalty, or 9-8 on penalties. And that surprised me, I've got to say. But then we followed that up with a 1-0 win against Firth, another 1-0 win against Wehen Wiesbaden. I know I've butchered that, and I do apologise to anyone that's German. We then played Kiel, who were top of the league around this time, and beat them 2-1 with 2 goals from Daniel Hanslick. Now, remember Daniel Hanslick, because we're going to get to him in a moment. We then played Magdeburg and drew 0-0. We had a bit of a poor run here. Drew 0-0 with Magdeburg. Then Energy Cottbus we beat on penalties after a 1-1 draw. They're another team that are in, I think, the division below. I think they're in the 3 Liga. Well, no, they're actually in the regional division northeast, so they're even further down than that. So yeah, a 1-1 draw with them, and then we went through 4-3 on penalties. And again, if you look at the team, Kraus, Boller, Bunning, Clement, Zielinski, Apoku, Lobinger, a much rotated team against those. Then we played Hertha Berlin and Braunschweig and drew 2-2 against both of those. Then we had the mid-season break, which is just over a month in length, the mid-season break. It's crazy. I'm not used to playing or managing a club that has a long mid-season break like that. So I did originally put in 3 friendlies, one before the Kaiserslautern 2 game, but they rejected that, so we just stuck with the 2 we already had planned. With a full strength side, we lost to our B team effectively, and then we completely rotated and put in all the backup players for the game against these guys, and we won 6-1. Ben Zielinski, who I very rarely start, I mean, if we have a look at him, we can see that he's made 1 start in the Bundesliga, 2 DFB Pokal games. All 5 goals he scored came in that friendly. So, yeah. Then, after the mid-season break, we started off with a game against St. Pauli that we won 3-0. Daniel Hanslick getting 2 of those goals. And then we played Schalke, and Daniel Hanslick just tore them apart. I mean, 9.9. He's so unlucky not to get a big fat 10 for that. But he scored 5 goals in those 2 games. Prior to that, in the previous 17 games, he'd scored, I think, 6. He's on 11 in total. So, yeah, he would have scored 6 in the previous 17 games. And then basically the same amount in 2 games in a row after the mid-season break. So if he can carry on that run of form, I think we're going to run away with this Bundesliga too. I really do. So if we actually go and have a look again at the Bundesliga, see we're top of the table. Daniel Hanslick is a top goal scorer on 11 goals. Bearing in mind, 2 games ago, he was on 6 goals. He weren't even in the top 3. He weren't anywhere near the top 3. If we actually have a look at the goals, at where 6 would get you, it's around 8th. And in the space of 2 games, he's now gone up to top, basically. So, yeah, very pleased with that. Tobias Raschel is our top assist maker with 6 assists. He's also joint top of that as well. And again, if we have a look at our performances from 19 games, 28 goals scored, 15 conceded. If we look at where we are in terms of the goals scored, we're 3rd in that. In terms of being the best defensively, we're 4th in that. Only 1 goal behind Paderborn, level with HSV and Nuremberg. So we're doing decent. I say we're doing decent. We're doing more than decent. We're top of the table. We've lost less games than anybody else. And yeah, it's just been going really, really swimmingly well. In terms of the dynamics, our team cohesion is on average. Our club atmosphere is good. Managerial support is good. In terms of finances, we have 5.5 million in the bank with £380,000 basically in the transfer budget and £189,000 in the wage budget. There has been transfer news for me to bring you. So David Widlars joins us at the end of the season. He's an 18-year-old winger. We very much bought in purely for his potential. He's got 2-star current ability with 3.5 to 4-star potential. He's looking quite rounded already. The fact that we're getting him on a free transfer as well, if we get promoted to the Bundesliga, he is unlikely to feature for us, but he could well be a player that we could sell on for a bit of a profit and get some money in that way. So that was the main reason behind that. In terms of transfer history, there are a couple of outs to tell you about. So Avdo Spahic has gone to this club on loan for a £10,000 loan fee, and Lex Tiger Lobinger has gone on loan for a £12,000 loan fee as well to RW Essen. And yeah, that's all the transfer news there is really. We didn't bring anyone actually into the club. Like I say, we've just got David Vidlars who's coming in at the end of the season. We have rejected a couple of offers, and this guy here, Lucas Leibrock, so many clubs are wanting him. He's our big young potential player, 5-star potential, 2-star current. We have got him in the first team squad, and we are going to try giving him a bit of a chance in our first team in this second half of the season. He has played one of the friendlies for us, and he's also made a sub appearance in a friendly, and he's got a goal and assist in that as well. So he could be a really good player. We do have a pretty decent development centre as well, so we need to try and make the most of that while we are here. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to bring you on part 2, because of part 1 going long, because it being a new club a new rebuild and all that sort of stuff, I am keen to try and keep part 2 a little bit shorter than normal. But with the transfer window closing here, it kind of is lopsided in the season because we only play 34 games. 17 is the halfway mark. So we're already 2 games into the second half of the season. In the DFB Pokal quarterfinal, we play Freiburg, who are 3rd in the Bundesliga. I don't have any hope that we're going to win that game. I mean, bear in mind, Köln are in the bottom half of the Bundesliga. But you never know. We could get to semi-final. So we're going to go to part 3 now. Can we win 2 Bundesliga? Are we going to get promoted to the Bundesliga? Can we win the DFB Pokal? And we have won the 2 Bundesliga. 20 wins, 8 draws, 6 defeats, 68 points, which I've got to say seems quite a low amount of points to win a league on, to be quite honest. But we've won it anyway. Schalke 2 points behind us on 66 points. We actually went into the last game of the season level on points with Schalke on 65 points. We won our last game of the season. They drew theirs. We did have a superior goal difference, so I was always confident we were still going to win the league anyway. 6 points ahead of Kiel in 3rd, who are in the playoff place, and then Hertha Berlin miss out. They are 12 points behind us, 6 points behind Kiel. Teams getting relegated are Karlsruhe and Braunschweig, and Osnabrück are in the playoff. If we go up to the Bundesliga, If we go up to the Bundesliga, Köln and Darmstadt are coming down. Köln, I think they're the team we beat in the DFB Pokal, but they're going down. Mainz will be in the playoff game against against Kiel, to see who stays in the Bundesliga. If we have a look at the schedule, the last time you was with us was just before we played Elversberg in the league. We won that game 4-2, but then we lost in the DFB Pokal quarter-final 3-1 against Freiburg, before then losing against Paderborn 2-1. Then we beat Nuremberg 2-0, a 3-0 win against Karlsruhe, a 4-0 win against Hansa Rostock, and a 2-1 win against Osnabrück. Hanover we beat 3-0, and then a 5-2 win against Düsseldorf, with Daniel Hanslick getting a hat-trick in that game. That was actually the last game of the season that he scored in. And then we lost against Hamburg 2-1. We lost to him earlier on in the season as well by the same scoreline, 2-1. So Hamburg doing a double over us. I'm just having a look for Paderborn. Yeah, they've done a double over us as well. So Paderborn and Hamburg. We had problems getting past them. We also, Hertha Berlin, we drew 2-2 in the first game and we lost against them later on. So Hamburg, the other team that I've just said, and Paderborn, that's it. We lost both games against, and Hertha Berlin we failed to beat as well in the league. But after HSV, we then got a draw against Firth, a 1-1 draw. Then a 2-1 win against this lot. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. A 1-0 win against Kiel, followed by a 0-0 draw against Magdeburg, and a 2-0 defeat against Hertha Berlin, and a 3-0 win, as I say, against Braunschweig on the last day of the season. So you know how the table looks. If we have a look at some of the stats for the league, Daniel Hanslick has finished on 20 goals for the season. Top goal scorer in the 2 Bundesliga, and that's without scoring in the final 7 games this season. If he scored a few goals in there as well, he'd have been even further clear. Hanslick also 3rd for average rating and 2nd for player of the match awards. We had Philippe Clement, who basically I didn't play in the first half of the season. He came to me moaning he's not getting enough football. So I started playing him, and actually really pleased I did, because he was very decent. He's 31 years old, so he's not the type of player I'd be looking at keeping around necessarily, although he is here for another couple of years. But yeah, 19 starts, 11 sub-appearances, 2 goals, 9 assists at 7.06. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't fit into our team of the year when we get to the end of season review. So very happy with him. I do want to show you the youth intake, because we've had a pretty decent youth intake. This is who we've got. So we've got straight away here 3 5-star potential players. Arman Osman is the first one. He's a central midfielder. I think what we'll do is probably train him in this area. In our tactic, in our 4-3-3, we have a deep line playmaker and a box-to-box midfielder. So it probably makes sense to try and get him as something like a deep line playmaker. So if we go to his training and midfield centre, deep line playmaker, do we do defend? Yes, we do. So back we go, midfield centre, deep line playmaker on defend, take control of this player's individual training. And then we've got Benjamin Ola, who is a 2-star current ability, 5-star potential. He's fickle. He's got decent determination. He's a left back, so we'll probably look at training him in the left back position. But let's get him as a wing back on support. Just have a quick check of our tactic. Yeah, wing back support on the left, I thought it was. Then we have Lars Christoph, who's a left-sided midfielder. What we really want to do is get him trained as an attacking midfielder on the left. And he's going to be on attack, isn't he? Yeah, he's going to be the inside forward on attack. So we'll do that now as well. Inside forward on attack. Let's get him trained up there. We'll let the coaching staff sort out his additional focus. Although I'm guessing actually because I've taken on his... I'll sort that out later. We don't need to go through that now. Then we come into the top talents. A couple of 4-star potentials here as well. Usman Nwachukwu, 4-star potential, 1.5-star current ability, attacking midfielder on the left. Again, what we will do with him is we'll go into his training. Attacking midfielder left, inside forward on attack. Get him doing the same as the other guy. And then Eric Idrisu, 1-star current potential, 4-star... 1-star current ability, 4-star potential ability. He wants to be a striker. So what we will do with him, I think, is actually go down to striker. We'll see if we can get him trained as a pressing forward on attack, because we do use pressing forwards in this particular tactic. So let's see if we can get him trained up for that. But yeah, and then we've got a couple of 3.5 stars. Well, we've actually had a really good youth intake, an exciting young prospect. It's been a decent intake. It's probably one of the best youth intakes I've had since I've been playing, or since FM24 came out. So it will be very interesting to see how they progress, them players, and what our future youth intakes might be as well. We are going to be in the Bundesliga next season. If we have a look at our squad, I've sorted them by wages because we've had several players, as soon as it was confirmed we'd been promoted, wanted bigger contracts. You can kind of see the ones we've given it to: Apoku, Ritter, Alvedi and Rachel. We have also had, if I can find him, Richmond Tashi wanted a new contract as well. And at this point, I kind of got a bit fed up. He's on £4,900 a week. He was wanting like £18,000 a week to put him up around here. And I just said no. I may give him one if he still wants to stay. He's unhappy at the moment because he wants his new deal. But yeah, if I decide to keep him around, then we'll go for it. But at the moment, he could be a player that I'm actually looking at trying to sell. And why would I want to give a new contract to someone that I could move on? But it'd be interesting to see what the valuations are like once we get to the Bundesliga, whether their valuations go up that little bit more as well. So let's go to the end of season review and have a look at that. Right, end of season review time. And there's a lovely little 2 Bundesliga trophy that we won, displayed proudly below our name. Let's get into the new arrivals. Not many to go through really. Tobias Rachel came in. This wasn't one of my purchases. 7.11, 33 starts, 5 sub appearances, 9 goals, 8 assists. He was very good. Came in from Firth. Timotheus Pusic, probably got that wrong, on loan from Union Berlin. He was really good actually, and he was available pretty much all season. As you can see, he played 37 times for us this season. We only played about 40 games. So he was really good. 1 goal, 5 assists on the non-attacking side. He's on the support left back. Yambola is who I brought in, and while he hasn't set the world alight, he's had 8 starts, 11 sub appearances, no goals, no assists, but 6.82. He was basically brought in as a squad option, and that's reflective there, really. Adrian Grubic has come in as well for £775,000, 33 appearances, 7 goals, 4 assists on the wing at a 6.79. The board are absolutely delighted with this, and A plus, and it's going to be all to do with money. Yeah, there you go. There aren't any future fit. Yeah, so in case you're not already aware, when it comes to the board's transfer reaction, that will be solely to do with finances. They won't care whether he scores 7 goals or 70 goals. It will be purely down to finances. In terms of transfers out, these are the guys that left the club, basically. They're nothing to do with me. Well, actually, no, Terence Boyd was to do with me. He went out for £140,000, 5 goals, 2 assists in 10 appearances for Minnesota. Season to remember in terms of the Bundesliga 2. First in the league, 43,742 was our average home attendance. That's an 88% capacity. Daniel Hanslick with 20 goals. They are delighted. I am delighted. I really didn't expect to be promoted at the start of the season. I was expecting somewhere around here, around mid-table. But once we got used to playing together, you can see here we had a bit of a dodgy start. Only 1 win in our first 6 games. But then after that, it got better. We had a little slip up there against Hamburg. A few more wins. And then we had a few... Oh, where's that gone to? Didn't mean that to go there. Then we had a few draws. And then as you come down, this really was just phenomenal. All these wins. We did have the defeat against Paderborn. And then a couple of little slip-ups towards the end. We weren't amazing this season. And like I say, we slipped up and dropped points in 14 games. That's almost half the season. So the Bundesliga 2 is a tough league because you've got some really good teams in here, but it's very winnable, is what I got from that. In terms of the DFB Pokal, I was actually really pleased with what we've done here. Köln, who have been relegated, we beat them. These 2 teams we should have been beaten, and then Freiburg simply were just too good for us. We got to the quarterfinals. The board are happy with it, and Raschel with 3 goals was our top scorer. I mean, yeah, as you can see, we didn't exactly score too many goals in this competition. We got 4 there, 5, 6 goals, and he scored half of them. In terms of moments to remember, the biggest win was a 4-0 win against Koblenz. Raschel with 2 goals, Hanslick and Ritter with a goal apiece. That was in the DFB Pokal. The match to remember, the Bundesliga 2, 3-0 win against St. Pauli. Hanslick with 2 goals and Raschel with a goal in there as well. And the goal of the season also went to Raschel. His name comes up quite a lot when we're talking about goals. Top quality strike from Die Rottentufel central midfielder Raschel as he scored a powerful volley from 24 metres. Lovely, lovely stuff. Broadcast revenue is nothing. Presumably Bundesliga 2 gets no television. Okay. Sponsorship. I mean, all this is going to be up because we'd have had nothing for the previous season because this is the first season. But sponsorship, corporate and hospitality, competition prize money and matchday commercial and retail. That should all go up again next season. We've been in the Bundesliga. That we'll definitely have broadcast revenue as well. £2.7 million made in merchandise. 21,612 shirts were sold. The following players' shirts sold particularly well. Hanslick, Grubic, who we brought in, Raschel, Ritter and Apoku. And they will, I think, all be staying next season. How we lined up a team of the year, basically. Luth in goal, Pushash as left back, Zimmer right back, Tomiak and Alvedi in the centre of defence, Nahus, Clement and Raschel in the centre of midfield. I did say Clement would get in there. Apoku and Grubic out wide with Hanslick up top. Some pretty decent average ratings in there. The lowest one was Grubic at 6.79. But yeah, some pretty decent average ratings. In terms of player, I mean, all these records are going to be because of it being the first season. But fans player of the season was Daniel Hanslick. The young player of the season was Tobias Roschel at 24. He won't be in that list next season. Sign of the season, Yambola. Tobias Raschel with a goal of the season. Daniel Hanslick as a top scorer with 21 goals in all competitions. Philip Clement with the most assists. Most player of the match award, Daniel Hanslick. Highest average rating, Daniel Hanslick. And most passes completed per 90 minutes, Jan Alvedi. In terms of the record breakers, Philip Clement for the most assists. Andreas Luth for 17 clean sheets. The most player of the match awards this season was Daniel Hamslik, and the worst discipline was John Zimmer with 4 yellow cards and 1 red card. Didn't really pick up too many yellow cards, to be fair. And that is pretty much it. We're going to get to the manager timeline, which I don't really pay any attention to. What I do want to show you as well is we've made some requests to the board. We asked them to improve the youth facilities, which they said no. We asked them to improve the youth recruitment, which they said no. And we asked them to improve the training facilities, which they said yes, it's going to cost 3.7 million. Work will begin on the 24th of July and is scheduled for completion by October 2024. The reason they said that is because we had an email a little bit further back that said our facilities have been downgraded, and those facilities were our training facilities, so that's why they've agreed to do that. And if we look at dynamics, team cohesion is good, club atmosphere is excellent, managerial support is good. If we look at the finances, the all-important finances for next season, we've got 16.1 million in the bank, so we're doing decently enough in there. We've got a wage budget of £272,000. We have £42,000 of that left. By the time we finish giving players new contracts, we're not going to have a whole lot of that left, so we do need to move some players on. We have a transfer budget of a paltry 1.5 million. I'm imagining we're going to be using most of that in the wage budget. So in the next episode, in part 1, you'll be seeing me trying to get players in, get players out, get this squad ready for our first season in the Bundesliga. Let me know in the comments if you've managed in Germany before. I'd be fascinated to hear if you have. How did you find it? How did you get on? And I'll see you next week, Sunday, 2 p.m, as always, for the next episode of Rebuilding FC Kaiserslautern.